I paid like, I think like 35 or $40,000 for education course, but
Were you
and
sweating when you press that button?
oh, I was actually sweating bullets. I actually didn't have all that money in my account. I had to put a small down payment on like $8,000 and then put the rest on credit cards.
Hmm.
So I was literally looking at a pretty large sum of debt on credit cards, which is probably not a wise thing to do. But if you do it correctly, I opened a new credit card and I kind of did the zero interest for like a certain amount of months. And then that way, that gave me some breathing room to kind of work and then pay off and then also study at the same time. And then making those strives to become better and better every day.
Yeah.
Fortune Builder is an online course with a very extensive amount of resources that explain the business from A to Z, more or less. And so that whole first year, it was a huge grind. I would go to work, and then after work, I would come back home and study. And then that's pretty much my whole week. But in between those study periods, if there were days that I could go to networking events, I would definitely go there, like REI meetup groups, because that was part of the curriculum. They would tell us to go out and meet, network, to put yourself out there, and really just to build as much individual like-minded people that you know in your network so you can create a business together. Now, for me, I'm actually an introvert. I never like going to networking groups. I kind of like I'm very fearful of them sometimes because it's just like a lot to take in. And so going past your own comfort zone definitely pushes you as an individual, makes you grow in tremendous ways that you may not be able to see it today, but in the future you can look back on it like, wow, I did all of that because of my why, my goal, and and I believe that all of that, um, your why will drive you. Like I'm sure everybody here knows, like why will drive a lot of individuals to success and to thrive. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was in a very similar situation. So, in college, I paid for my first guru course, if you will,
Yeah.
and I didn't have a job. I did have a credit card because they just send them to you when you're in college, and it was $1,500, which to me, like, I mean, it was like 30,000
Yeah.
at that time in my life, and that was oh, I wrestled with it, but yeah, on the card, and at that point, it was like, well, crap, I just got to believe everything he says and go out there and grind. It took 3 months. I finally got my first deal and paid off the card and then some. So,
Well, that's good.
yeah, and I've done the 30,000. I mean, I've joined multiple masterminds over the years, so paid well over 30,000. So, it's not that um, it's a lot or it's not a lot. Ultimately, it's what are you going to make out of it? And then, of course, just quick disclosure, like do your due diligence on these
Yeah.
organizations that you're wanting to join. There's many good ones. There's also a lot of them out there that they're okay taking your money,
Mhm.
even if it's not right for you or if they're not able to fulfill what they're promising. But I think the point is you were at a point in your life where you knew the current path you were on isn't the path you wanted to continue on forever. So you had to find another way, and you did find another way. At that point, it was okay. How do I get into this, and what do I need to do to start shifting tracks and get educated was the first thing, and
Yeah,
that's what you're doing at that point, right?
most definitely. And it wasn't as easy as it was for you for 3 months. It took me a whole year to get my first deal. And there were nights that I was doubting my own decisions. And that's like where a lot of, I mean, looking back on it now, it's funny that your mind tells you so many stories that I wasn't aware of seeing. So, like, if I had to tell a person that started today or my own self, um, what to look out for is yourself because you are your worst enemy. You can sabotage those thoughts that go through your head. If you're not aware of those thoughts, those stories, they can rule your life. And
Yeah.
so I would
And
definitely.
you start to question the line of obsession or
Yeah.
delusion.
Yeah,
And it's
exactly.
like that blurry line, like where does one end and the other begin?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah. I think everybody has it as an entrepreneur. And also just, I mean, as humans too, as well. So like kind of how I deal with it today, I I write them down. I write these fictitious stories down and I observe them. I look at them. I'm like, is this real or is this fake? And if it's fake, I just kind of laugh at it because like, I had that thought in my head and it was like owning me.
Was that
Um,
something you started doing? I remember reading something like that in a book, and it recommended writing them down, and also recommended saying it out loud, recording it, and playing it back. And
Oh, I don't do it like that. I actually have a spreadsheet. I write down like where it happened, like the location, how it got triggered. So like what caused it,
mhm.
what time, what I was doing pretty much, and then
This is your
like the
engineer
actual
blood coming out.
yeah. Yeah. And the actual story that my brain facilitated. And I just take a look at it and I'm just like, yeah, that's not real. So it kind of it dismisses it and it all kind of advantages it away.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
That's good. I think it was David Goggins who was saying he plays it back so he could hear, and I could be wrong. Maybe it could be someone
yeah.
else, but he plays it back just so you can hear the
Oh,
bullshit story that you try to tell yourself. Because sometimes because we all hear it from other people, and
yeah.
then we're like, "Come on, man! Like you can totally do this."
Yeah.
But for ourselves, it's harder.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it is David Goggins. I think that you're correct on that one. I did read his new book, and that's part of his whole little mantra or his little ethos, which is just an amazing way to follow. I mean, honestly. Um, so like that's like one of my biggest learning lessons as I gone through my entrepreneurial journey. And I mean, people like higher levels, they harp on mindset, but like I guess as a person that's starting, you don't see how valuable the mindset is for your success because maybe you're starting out and you all you're worried about is like making income because that's what you need to do for your family
Yeah,
or for whatever.
yeah.
But the mindset is, I think, more important than that because that sets you up to make the big money.
It's 100% more important. It's like you have a framework of knowledge, and that's your limitation. Like
Yeah,
that's as far as you're going to be able to grow, and only when you can expand that framework do you begin to start breaking boundaries or
yeah.
previously self-imposed boundaries. Tony Robbins kind of helped me, or is continued as I listen to him and go to events, help me with some of those. But it's crazy how much here's a good quote. I forget where it comes. I think Keith Cunningham said it. But in any case, it was living hell would be getting at the end of your life and God saying, "Hey, this is how you could have lived, but this is how you chose. Like
Uh,
this is what I had envisioned for you. This is what's happened." Do you really want that conversation?
yeah, you
Uh,
don't.
uh,